Welcome back to this week's episode of Slightly Average Guys. We are live. It is not the normal day that we go live on. We're doing new things. I'm holding a phone to go live on TikTok for some wacky ass reason because I feel like, I don't know, it's just something to do. But we all appreciate everybody joining us with this week. We got some bangers of some conversations that were going to happen. If you've never joined us before, we go through silly, stupid shit because we're just three average guys talking about some average stuff. We appreciate everybody being here. How are you guys doing? Let's start with Ryan. How's it going?
I'm good.
What kind of lame ass shit was that?
No, I was
in like
wonderful.
3 weeks. Yeah, it's been 3 weeks. You couldn't have come up with anything better than that.
No, I'm good. I just went camping this weekend. And I haven't been camping in forever, so that was phenomenal. I did not want to go at all. I was like, I want to stay in the comfort of my own home and just chill and do nothing. And then all of a sudden on Friday, this last Friday, I was packing. And I was like, shit, dude, like I'm excited to go camping because I'm actually packing. But like the daunting task of like remembering to grab everything, packing food, we're bringing the dog. And the dog is like, he hates camping. He's like, if you ever take me camping again, I will kill myself. Like that's how bad he hates camping. He sits in the car 75% of the time because he's like, nope, I don't want my feet to get dirty. Anyways, he's the worst, but
that's
can't
like
go wrong.
Mega
Bowling's
prima
been
donna.
good. We're in a bowling league. I'm, always got a drink in my hand. So life is good. Life is good. Andy, how about you?
Really good. Thank you for asking.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Yes. Yeah, no camping here. We went to the lake on Sunday and messed around on the boat. The water was freezing, so that was fun.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was super cold.
I'm surprised with temperatures rising how it's still cold.
What lake did you go to?
I don't know. I'm not a lake person, so I just go along for the ride. And
Okay, I figured you drove, so like you could at least have figured that shit out. Okay.
No, went with the brother-in-law, sister-in-law. They have a boat. Yeah,
You just rode along, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, just went along, had some fun. It was cool.
All right. Well, not much is going on for me. Just a whole bunch of freaking work, crazy enough as it is. But let's get into our first topic here. Something that's been happening, been a big thing in a whole bunch of different news is ChatGPT, right? It's something huge. You got two individuals that have used it, myself, and then we also got Andy over here who has used it, and then a newbie in the middle who just decided that he wanted to be part of the clan and actually download it as well and look at it, but he has no clue what he's doing. I've had a really decent experience at using it for both work as well as some just funky, fun stuff. But Andy has had some negative things that's happened. Like we all know you can ask it to do a bunch of different stuff. We've seen all the different articles that exist out there about, using it to build websites and things, which by the way, most people don't have access to that version. There's a smaller version that exists. So, the normal one, you can get it to write different blog articles, different contexts of different things. But, Andy, what was your experience with ChatGPT?
So it started off negative, like real quick. Now, to be fair, I was going into it with a one track mind. My intentions were this. I hope everybody's around, so my wife's not within earshot. I asked it a very simple request. Thought it would be very easy. I said, make me an OnlyFans profile in the theme of like a steampunk like experience. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Simple. Okay. This stupid robot was like, sorry, that's unethical. I stopped reading after it said sorry and it told me no. So I moved on, but I did use it for some good. I used my powers for positive. My wife has a mobile Botox business, so I was asking it questions on how to engage people better through Instagram or just social, growing an audience. It's actually come in very handy from an interview standpoint. I applied for a job, and all of the questions that the job asked, outside of just the who are you and that kind of thing, I typed all of those into ChatGPT, and it provided actually like 3 really good examples on each one. So I applied to a job with the robot.
Nice. Lying about yourself.
No. One of them was the one question that I thought was the best was, what are your salary like expectations or salary range or whatever, which I think is a tough question to answer in general because you're posting the salary range or what you're going to pay me. Anyways, I just want to put what you posted. However, the the three I don't remember off the top of my head, but the one that I chose was basically say, well, salary is an important aspect of my next step or something along those lines. Finding a cultural fit is the number one thing for me.
Wow.
And it went on a little bit more, but then it does say, but given my experience and what I'm looking for, here's the range that I would be interested in.
Dude, that is literally freaking
fantastic.
Awesome.
I'll send it to
Like-
you, Ryan, after we get done. It's
Oh
amazing.
my gosh.
Yeah. It blew my
Dude, I
mind,
need to
man.
start using this because like this is how it's almost like answering a question with a question. It's like
Yeah.
one of those type things. Like if somebody asks you a question, doesn't mean you have to answer the question immediately. And that answer was phenomenal. Holy
Listen,
cow.
the other one, I forget what the other one was, but I'm thinking this is great. The other two were just as good, but that one resonated more with me.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I'm thinking, I got this in the bag, like copy paste. Like, da, da, da. Now, of course, I haven't heard from anybody, but that's a whole nother discussion because I never hear from anybody when I apply for a job. But it was really good. I will tell you though, it took me a minute to figure out how to get the right answer because you do have to ask it. You have to ask the question in an appropriate way to get a better answer. So after watching a couple of YouTube videos and reading different articles, you figure out how to interact with it and provide more context up front, and then it'll give you a better answer. So then now I've tried to parlay that into how can I take over some of my job responsibilities with AI. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, that was my next question. So if you're using ChatGPT for, you know, your job related activities, does that make you lazy or does that make you smarter than the rest? Like,
I mean,
what percentage is based on, yeah, I just don't want to do it, to no, I'm just trying to provide better content than I can provide myself?
I think it's both. It depends. So a long time ago, there was this article I read about this software programmer, and he was outsourcing all of his work, and nobody caught on to him for like 6 or 7 years, something ridiculous.
Wow.
And so he would basically take the requirements that he needed to code, and he would go on Fiverr and he would pay somebody like $50 or whatever to write this code. And he finally got found out. But anyways, I think, listen, the reason the saying exists, work smarter, not harder, is because of that reason. So I would tell you that I think that the design of it is to improve and to become efficient. So that's how it gets done is how it gets done, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's great that it can do that, right? I think the opportunities, and I've never used it. I literally just signed up 5 minutes ago. But I think the opportunities are great, but I think there could be a lot of misuse. And I saw something today that was actually pretty concerning, where people are using this from a scamming perspective.
Yeah.
Right. They're using, like, one of the examples today was like this woman, or these scammers use the actual voice of this person through, like, whether it was social media, they got the voice, some other methods of getting a voice, right? We all post our voice on social media. They use that voice and a different voice to, like, hold a ransom for that child.
Nuts.
Like, holy crap.
Nuts.
And this is, I feel like this is, and I think the conversations are already, you know, they're already unfolding about the use of AI for these purposes, but kind of scary. But for us, normal, right, slightly average guys, this is awesome. I need to start using this thing
Again, it's figuring out ways to work, you know, smarter, not harder, exactly as Andy said. And one of the ones, like, I found it like the easiest and tried to explain to some people that I work with. I'm like, okay, listen, like, how hard search engine optimization used to be for your website, because you always have to keep feeding it, and everybody's like, oh yeah, well, let's do a blog. But, like, nobody wants to write any of that, and, like, everybody's gung-ho like somebody's actually going to do it, like, multiple times a week. Like, you can go into that thing and be like, write a blog about fitness as it revolves around the solar industry, and literally it'll, like, write all these different things of, you know, this long, and so you see it, write it out. It's really good. One of the ones that I've seen recently is besides the blog post, is using it to write stories, and then you can post those stories to publish those stories on Amazon with a book. So you use one AI in order to write it, you use another AI to illustrate it, and then you publish that stuff on Amazon to sell. And yeah, you make like
Interesting.
$4 a book, but you know it's sold a shit ton of times and works through. And that like Katie found that one. I'm like, shh. And she started telling me the ideas. She's like, can you show me how to use it? Showed her. She's like, oh, this is so awesome because it's so easy. It's so easy. I mean, it doesn't come out perfect, but it's like all the hard labor,
you
the
there.
95% of the labor that you would do to try to write something right. You know, it's like, oh well, let me just do the 5% polishing, and it's amazing.
Do you think
So-
this can eliminate jobs?
Oh, absolutely. So coming out of like, it's funny, you listen to the government, who you usually don't want to ever listen to, but like Jerome Powell, who runs the Federal Reserve, which is funny because that's not federal at all, but who operates the Federal Reserve, has said from 2020 that coming out of 2020, we will see a loss in the job market, and everybody's job's going to be leveraged to technology because it has to become more and more efficient. We have to, or else we're going to have to pay everybody a massive amount more because inflation will go through the roof essentially. So
Yeah, unfortunately though, like it's us, right? It's the U.S. workers who are going to be at the cost for that because again, most of us work from home. Well, guess what? You can pay me $100,000, but you can just outsource it. They'll work from home in like India and pay them fucking 30 grand, and they'll be happy and do probably better and work harder.
Exactly. That's why everything's changing anyway. You know, we're currently, what most people don't understand is we're in a transitional period from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0. And what does that mean? That means the web as we have grown up with it, right? And how the apps, there was the original web, and then which was you dial the library and shit. Then the web that we exist, which has become fractionalized by the apps and stuff that we use on our phones. But then we're going into Web 3.0, which is the metaverse, which is blockchain technology and crypto and things like that, which everything will end up running on that. Your mortgages will be on that. Everything, absolutely everything. Your deeds to your homes, everything can be written in digital contracts on top of that. So there's a lot of instances where we'll be able to jump in and make money by trying to look for things rather than just sitting on your laurels and be that person that just clickety clacks at work. Yep. Which is really leads into one of the things was, if you had to turn $100 into $1,000 in a short period of time, whether it's a month or shorter, we're just talking about 10xing it. We're not talking about going and selling crack, because if we were going to do that, you just, Ryan's the dealer anyway. He would just show up at his house and be like, hey, I just need to flip this. So Andy, what would you have as an idea in order to turn $100 into $1,000? Let me phrase it this way. Would you use ChatGPT? Because we started with the subject inverted. It's really my problem. I'm going between these two.
I probably would. I would probably do a couple things, and one of them would be from there. But to take a page from old Gary Vee, man, I'd go yard sailing, and I would do that every week, and I would sell what I buy, and that would be my job. And, but it'd be like 5 days a week. I'd go yard sailing, and it wouldn't just be weekend. But yeah, I definitely think concurrently I'd try to maximize technology and my time. So I would utilize this while I'm out and to see what I could do concurrently. So
one of the things that's interesting that Ryan will probably perk up with this is there's actually websites out there that you can upload professional photos to, and I'm not talking to sell them, but if people just click on them and view them, you get paid like 5 cents per each time somebody clicks on the damn thing.
I already have one of those set up.
Yeah, all right, man. It's because that's like as many photos as your wife takes.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it takes part of like a marketing mindset as well, right? I mean, same with this podcast, right? I mean, we can do 1,000 episodes of this podcast and still go nowhere, right? So there's a part of the marketing aspect that you need to do to get your photos viewed, but ultimately it's quantity.
Yep.
and if you read like the stuff, because I went through it quite a bit, and they were just like, yeah, I mean, obviously, like, know this and know that, and as long as you're within those guidelines, it's just like quantity. Just launch it out there. And I spent probably like a good half a day so far just uploading photos and kind of creating my account and doing stuff like that. And we'll see where it goes, but it's so cheap. It's so cheap. It's literally like $5 a month. I'm like, sure, let's try it for a year, see where it goes, and go from there. So we'll see.
Yeah, Andy did. He bought some tool thing where what was it, Andy? That one that was like it had all these different genres and stuff. Man, I'm sorry to put you on the spot. Like it went in my head and right out.
Startup streams or something like that.
Yeah, it was like all these different avenues, and it was like selling on these small digital products. That was like, hey, $7 for how to start this, and $5 for different topics and so on and so forth. It was actually pretty interesting because I think he paid like $40 for it or whatever, and then where the resellers are really making their money is they have a nice tool where you can click a button, it'll automatically create you a Shopify page and everything else, and they get revenue streams through that for the referral links. But
yeah, and could you imagine, like, with this stuff we're talking about, how ChatGPT could potentially help us out? Create me a profile, create me a calendar sharing to my social medias, create me some content to share once a week, create you can, I mean, it's endless, right?
Exactly. And that's just the low hanging fruit, right?
Yeah.
That's not using it for anything that's actually heavy lifting. That's like the things yawning in order to just write stuff like that. And
like say I already have a website. I just need content. I just need written content.
Yeah, there's ways to have it, access your Google Sheets and crunch numbers and do analytics and be business intelligence for you. It's like,
listen, let me tell you one. I found one. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, but along that line, I found one where, as I was going through the job part of it, I was like, "There's got to be a better way to go apply so I can get past this stupid screen, because I have experience in what I'm looking to do. Maybe sometimes it's too much, but I'm not going to dumb down my resume because then I'm selling myself short." So I found one. It's an AI tool that allows you to build your resume. And then you take a link for a job that you want to apply, you put it in this tool, and all of the keywords come out. So then now it's putting your skills based on keywords. And I was like, this is not fair.
You gotta send me that one.
That is phenomenal.
I think I saw this on an Instagram reel and I saved it. And I was like, this is a weekend project because I just want to I'm going to go for the gusto. Let me tell you.
Yeah. For skipping all those steps where it's like, if you're doing an online, resume of continually to provide the same content in all of your experience levels, just like it's copy paste.
It's monotonous
applications.
And at my current job, we were going through a hiring process using Indeed, and so you see everybody that's applying for the job. Well, they have a component where I can then go search by keyword, and I was like, wait a minute, this has to exist. So from an employer standpoint, there are AI tools that I can go out and like grab people and find them, and I don't have to go fish per se. But there's no reason why it can't work for me as the employee on the reverse to say, build me this tool. And I found a couple cool AI resume builders, but I didn't want to spend the time doing it because that second part that I didn't find until that one video was like, okay, now I'm building a resume to the job I want, and I'm using your cheat code to bypass your wall that you're going to put up. So stay tuned. I'm going to try it. I haven't given it a shot. We'll see.
It'd be interesting to see what comes out of it. But yeah, definitely send that over to me because I want to know. The keyword thing is always the thing that boggles me because I'm like Ryan, like you're just like copying things over, and it's like this can't be the right way to do this because if a human reads this, it sounds retarded, And,
so dumb.
But speaking of interviews and things, I recently came across a video that was talking about interviews, and I think it was a TikTok. Funny enough, because they were like, "Hey, do any of you guys actually ask questions at the end of any interview you've ever been in?" Because I haven't. Because normally by the time that you're at the end of it, you're like, okay, I think I've covered everything with the ridiculous questions that they've asked myself. But this gal was talking about, listen, you have to ask poignant questions, A, so they remember you, and B, to preemptively get something, put you ahead of the next person in line, right? Or the next phase. So
Oh yeah.
she was saying the last question that you should ask, or she's like, at least that I would ask, is after going through the whole entire interview, you would ask them back, do you have any hesitations for me performing these duties and you guys hiring me for this role? And I was like,
Smart.
fuck, that's a great freaking question, because it preemptively makes it to where when they're reviewing the top 3, right, they'd be like, oh, well, this person, yeah, I don't think they'd be really good at this. So they're going to tell you what their hesitation would be, and you can answer it right then. So that way, whenever they're at the next, part, they don't have that hesitation when they're talking about you versus the other 3 people that they may potentially hire.
What kind of hesitations would somebody have?
Well, it doesn't look like you have enough experience in the operational side of things, because
So experience. Okay.
Yep, I've had those conversations in the past where they're like, oh, well, it doesn't look like you've helped out operations for franchises. I'm like, well, actually, no, I have, just because I don't have the title throughout every single one of those. I was part of the operational team
part of the
that did every single one. Yeah. So that's the holes in that your resume can't show, right? Because you don't, I mean, realistically, I know, Ryan, you haven't jumped around a bunch. You've, pretty much worked at 2 places, your adult career. But like for like me and Andy that have gone from like franchise to franchise to franchise, you can't just copy and paste everything that you did for each individual one, because people say that's bullshit too. Even though that's the funny thing, is we've done the same thing for every single one that we've worked for. So
yeah, and I think to go back to your original question, like, do you ask questions at the end? The answer is absolutely no, right? Because after an exhausting interview of you trying to be on point, you're just like, all right, sweet, thank you, I'm out of here.
Yep.
But I've thought about that a lot recently, because they're interviewing you, but just because they offer you the position, you also want to interview them to think that you can only read so much online, right?
Yeah.
You can only find out so much through Facebook and other types of stuff. So you have to interview them too, and at the end of the interview, like, that's your time. You have to give them the first part of it, but you ultimately have, unless they cut you off because of other interviews, you have however long you want to ask them questions, and that could be part of that, to open up those types of windows and tell them, those gaps that you're missing.
So I just asked it in ChatGPT to generate questions to ask an employer during an interview. I got 15.
Nice.
So all right, give me the top 1.
The top 1.
It's top 1.
Just the top 1. Yeah, just give me the top 1. I don't want to go through all of them.
Just do top 3. Just say them out.
Okay, so this one says, how does the company foster collaboration and teamwork amongst its employees? Okay, that's a good one. Can you tell me about any recent or upcoming company initiatives or projects that might impact this position? What is the company's approach to work-life balance, and how is this supported for employees?
Dang. Those are just those are awesome. I can't wait to mess around with ChatGPT.
I sent you the one for salary that I texted to both of you guys. Those will blow your mind. The other one was I forget. I'd have to look at it. But the other ones are great too. But like, that's how quick it was. So to go into an interview, to have these 15 questions and then to tailor it to that company, I mean, you're ready to go.
And you're being that remembered person at the end of the interview. Like,
because I could ask, what if you ask all 15, right? I mean, then that person's gonna be like, wow, there's a lot of questions.
Yeah, and the guy's gonna be like, he used ChatGPT. Could you imagine, once this becomes more streamlined, they're gonna start questioning whether the work is yours or somebody else's. You know what I mean?
And what I would say, if I was an owner of a company and somebody was using it, I'd be like, I don't care as long as you're getting it done. I don't literally, what else could we use it for, is what I would ask.
There's going to be people who don't do that, right?
Oh, yeah.
They will care, because they think, again, to my question, you're being lazy. You're not doing the work you're supposed to. What are we paying you for? Right?
Yeah.
So
works what you do, not where you are. That's the first piece. Yeah. And work is what they give you to do, not how long. That's the problem with corporate America. Corporate America is stuck with, we need you to be here and clocked in at this time, and you clock out at that time, and you get this exact amount of time for your lunch. And it's like, realistically, we should just hire everybody to do tasks, and those tasks whenever you're done, that's fine. You can go. Right?
That's right.
That's what it should be. And like you can
That's what
go
I
do
do
whatever
anyways.
you want. Yeah, you could. Well, again, you're in a different position, than most people are, right?
But the other thing too, consider, I think corporate America will always have it, but consider the cycle of people and the generation that now are in charge. So like my generation, we grew up slightly different, but like Ryan, at some point when your generation are those people that are in charge of everything, or even like my daughters, is a whole different world then, right? So they'll bring that's scary for sure.
Damn, that is scary.
That'll bring continuous changes and drastic changes to where then we're old people and we're like, this, like my grandpa, this country's going to shit.
Could
And
you
he's
even
82.
imagine the culture in those businesses or corporations? Like, I couldn't imagine the types of things that you can get in trouble just for verbally saying.
Well,
cancel culture, right? It's all
so dumb.
Look at the government. The government's made up of everybody that's our grandparents, and everybody's like, "Well, this country's been destroyed over the last, so many years from this generation." It's like those fuckers are the people that look at those people. Yes, we all have our own problems, but the major problems and things are getting pushed from up there because they so love their power that they've been in office for 50 years.
Yeah.
Then you grill a guy about cryptocurrency or something, and they have no clue what it or TikTok. I don't know if either of you guys saw them grilling the guy for the CEO of TikTok, and like the one guy was like, "Okay, so your app can access other things on the network," and the CEO's like, "I don't know what you're asking." He's like, "It can access other devices on the network." He's like, "We do the same thing as everybody." He's like,
it was like it accesses Wi-Fi, it accesses.
He's
router,
like, I need the
shit.
internet to do anything, right? And he's like, but we don't do anything different than every other app because Android and Apple dictate what we are allowed and can't do to other apps.
I did see a blurb about that,
and that's exact point of
Silly.
disconnect. I know we're jumping between government and jobs and everything, but it's just the disconnect for like how many jobs want you to go back into the office? Why?
Right.
Why? If I owned a business like that was like thriving by sending everybody home, I'd be like, how can I get out of this lease that we are spending $5 million on over the next 5 years?
Dude,
right?
And on that topic, we just bought another lease. So we have a warehouse and we lease that, and our engineers work from there too. So it's a warehouse office space for the people who don't need warehouse, like customer service and purchasing and operations, like people who are on like just tracking and shipments and stuff like that. They don't need to be at the office. We now have a second lease in Fashion Square Mall in the heart of Old Town Scottsdale, dude. In the heart of it for like 5 people.
Why?
I'm like, I want to see the fucking bill on that thing, man. Like, you've got to be kidding me. Our total company from our raindrop under the umbrella of that corporation is like 20 people, 25 max.
Wow.
Dude, insane. It made me so mad.
That's nuts. That makes no sense at all. Like, again, and then I'm not saying that they do
just to be at the office.
Yeah, but those are the people that are making those decisions are the same ones that will be like, we can only give the employees a 3.4% raise this year. That's all
absolutely.
we can afford.
I had that conversation. I literally had that same conversation.
It's like, but you're spending money on stupid shit.
Yeah, and I even said, so you wanted to hire another me in my position. Now we're getting a little off topic, but let me finish this. You wanted to hire another me in my position, right? Yeah, we tried to, but we don't want to pay them. Okay, so now are you still looking for that person? No, we're not. Perfect. Then give me half of his salary. No, we can't do that.
Yeah. Then your follow-up.
So you're willing to pay 2 people, but you're not willing to pay 1 person more
because they don't see the value in anybody. You're a bean. You're just a thing that they're gonna move. You're just a number on a sheet, and no one number is X. That's not an exact.
I thought I fought pretty well.
What you should have followed up with is, okay, then I appreciate your time. It seems like you guys have really thought over the logistics and everything of this. I would ask that you guys do one more example, one more case of going through and researching something. How much do you think it would cost to hire, train, and get somebody up to speed in my position if I weren't here?
I did that too, by the way.
Yeah,
I did.
good.
I did exactly that, but guess what? I couldn't talk to the CEO about it. I only had to communicate through my boss.
Yeah,
because
I've
I
been there
said, get me
before.
in front of him. Get me in front of him.
Mhm.
Get me in front of him. I'll talk to him. Let me negotiate. Is there any negotiation room? I'll sit in front of you guys right now and talk with HR, my boss, and the CEO. Let me do it.
Mhm.
There's no room for negotiation.
For what it's worth, I just asked the robot, and it gave me four really good answers to what to ask your employer if they don't give you a raise.
Oh, let me hear it, baby.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
go.
The whole theme is ChatGPT.
Yeah. Question 1, ask for feedback. I understand that you're not able to give me a raise at this time. Can you provide me with some specific feedback on what I can do to improve my performance and increase my value to the company so that we can revisit the possibility of a raise in the future? Number 2, negotiate other benefits. While I'm disappointed that I won't be receiving a raise, are there any other benefits or perks that we could discuss that would help me feel more valued and appreciated in my role? That's not
a good
bad.
one.
Number
Like
3,
bonuses or something.
yeah.
Yeah, bonuses,
Request-
cars, pay your internet, your phone bill. There's things.
Well,
Yeah.
hang on to that one because that's coming. Request a timeline for review. I appreciate your honesty in letting me know that a raise isn't possible. Can we set up timeline for a performance review or salary negotiation in the near future so that we can discuss this again? Then the last one, alternative work arrangements. If a raise isn't possible, would it be possible to discuss alternative work arrangements such as flexible scheduling or remote work options that could help me achieve a better work-life balance? So you could throw in those incidentals then into
I did the
something
first
like that.
one.
Yeah, the first one's bullshit because they're always just going to say no. If they've already
Yeah.
said no to no, there's no room for negotiations. There's no room for. It doesn't even matter if they tell you yes in 6 months we'll relook at it because all they're doing is kicking the can.
For sure. But all those other ones are actually really good, right? You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there are ways to try to get other compensation, and that's what happened to me over at the big monster that we built, Andy. Because I'm not going to say their name because I don't feel like getting a warning. But like that's what happened to me. So I started negotiating. They paid my internet and my phone bill and something else. I think it was my full cable bill and all this other random shit that I was just
Nothing
like,
wrong with that.
yeah, it was like each
Heck
year I
yeah.
asked for one more thing. They're like, well, we're already paying for this. I'm like, okay, well then, give me a bigger raise. They're like, well, no, we can't do that.
Mhm.
The biggest one that I always got upset with is that I'm sorry, we can't give you distinguished. Can't give you because people like rate it differently. They give you like how well you're doing in your role. And like you can exceed every quantifiable metric
Mhm.
possible. And they'd be like, sorry, we can't give you distinguished. You know why? Because we're only allowed to give 2 people distinguished this year. It's like, this is not supposed to be a review of me versus my peers. This is supposed to be how well I
That's
am
right.
performing in my job. If this is a review of how well I do versus them, I also could have a great argument for why I still should get it and they shouldn't. However, that's not the argument that we should be in. Somebody posted on TikTok that they literally had their phone pointed only at them because they were doing a conference call with the HR about how
I think I've seen this one.
about how they go, your performance this year, you went from last year being the highest rated employee in the company, the most honored and decorated employee out of everything, to this year you're just middle of the road and under the bar on some of the things. And he's like raring to go. And he's like, well, you see, last year you told me that there is no raise and that it doesn't matter how well
the last 2 years he hadn't had a raise.
Yeah. The last 2 years there was no raise. So if there's no economical reason for me to go above and beyond because you're not going to pay me any additional more, that means that I should work just as hard as every just normal person here. And this is not a job. This is just strictly a math equation. So I'm only going to do exactly what you tell me to do and answer it as short as I can answer it and offer no additional help past that because you are offering no additional help for me, or compensation, or a path to succeed.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, in that though, you didn't get to hear the response of the
Yeah.
HR person. It kind of cut off. So,
Yeah.
you know, you'd love to hear that opposite side of the story. But I told my boss that.
Mhm.
I told her, I was like, okay, great. Don't expect much from me.
I mean,
Yeah.
and they're all flabbergasted. You know, they'd be all flabbergasted of like, well, why aren't you doing 200% of what you did the last year? Like, because you didn't care. Like,
Oh
let's
yeah.
let's be honest, Marge or whatever your name is,
Oh,
Margaret.
too soon.
You know,
Too soon.
Linda. Sorry, fucking Linda. Do your shit. Like, if you didn't get paid, would you be here?
Right.
Answer's no, Linda. Right? Same thing with me. If I don't get paid, I'm not going to be here. So that means if I don't get paid more because I'm doing more above and beyond, then why would I be incentivized to do more?
Yep.
Yeah. And the best is after the company comes right off of like, you know, high-fiving each other. We had the best quarter ever. Last year we did more revenue than we had more profitability and everything else. And then it comes to raises.
Dude.
Guys, I'm sorry, but there's just, you know,
Not
it's a
enough.
tough year. We had to buckle down.
It's just not in the budget for next year.
Yep.
Yeah,
like,
my
neither
exact
is me.
situation. It's hilarious.
Yeah, neither am I. I don't feel like I'm definitely not in your budget for next year. So see ya.
Yeah.
And there's a big thing going around social media about just nobody's giving 2 weeks anymore. We just had somebody, the place I currently work with, we had one very, very, very good fabricator literally walk in this morning. It's like, nope, I'm done. Here's all my equipment and everything else, all my access tags. I'm done. And like, I already got another gig. They're like, well, no, we need you for 2 weeks. I'm like, no. You gave me such a low bump that what was the point? There's no point. I know the answer. I'm not going to give you any more.
Yeah. Jobs
because
they're not hard to find if you're looking for them.
Yeah. But the thing is like, I think everybody thinks that they're all going to actually call your references to companies. I don't have a single reference at a company that I've worked for that still exists with that company.
Yeah, same.
And I don't think anybody actually ever calls references. I'm going to be real straight up honest.
I've had a few in the past.
Yeah. Like, and even so, like I would have to pick people that worked with me, but no longer work for the company.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, you know, like even if you just quit, say you're like, I'm out, you know, and left.
Just calling your friends.
Yeah, I just be like,
Ryan's a great guy. Great
like,
guy.
Andy.
How's his work ethic?
Well,
Hard.
It's like some of the you know, when COVID hit and we closed the whole business down and everything else, Andy's not going to put the investor people that bought the company, right? He uses me, I'll use him. Like,
listen, I'd even make up fake companies and put you're like a Google number and it's still you. So I don't care. If it really needed to be 3 people, it could be the same person. They don't know.
Yeah, you could just ask ChatGPT, hey, create me a couple LLCs.
I already did. I just asked it. I said, generate a list of references people can call for job reviews. Well, it actually told me like who you should put down. It didn't actually like create me fake references, which might be my next question.
All right. Well, let me ask one good question here. None of the other questions that I have left are actually like meat and potatoes like the ones that we have here. So let me just ask this question. This is the only
All right,
one
let's get back to the slightly average stuff here. Come on now.
Yeah, this is the only thing. Well, we're being above average by utilizing GPT. So
that's right.
Let's do this one. I think it was Andy, but it might not have been. What do you think space travel? But what do you think space travel will be like? Better or worse than airline travel? I literally don't know which one of you guys posed that question.
Well, I don't think that was me.
Oh, neither one of you gotta own it, but I didn't type that stuff in there. So here's what I think, right? In order to get on an airplane, you have to take off your shoes and go through like a metal detector. I'm pretty sure you're gonna have to be rectally probed as a general consumer if we're like mass flying on space travel aircraft. and they're gonna put some balloon thing in order to like keep radiation out of your rectum.
There's gonna be background checks, dude. If you're flying, if you're space traveling, like if we bring Mars into the situation, not just like the moon, dude, there's gonna be background checks. They're not bringing certain people to the frickin' Mars to demolish that stuff, right?
Well, hang on, but that's two different conversations, because one is who's controlling you're being allowed to, and one is just saying there was commercial space travel.
It's money. Money's controlling it.
Well, I know what the fuck's controlling it. I'm just saying, let's say there's just commercial space travel that's like as relevant as, as not as relevant as our airlines now, but like say the airlines in the 50s, right? You had to have money to fly on the airline anyway. It was a full blown experience. Do you think it's going to be? You think it's going to be really, really high end, or like total bargain basement experience? Like, are there amenities? Do you just sleep? Is it like coach? Is it first class?
No, I think you're stuck, man. You buy a ticket, you go to the scaffolding that brings you into that ship. You're wearing a mask and everything, right? There's no amenities. You're not eating food unless they serve it to you in a straw through your suit. You got nothing, dude. So you're literally climbing scaffolding, taking an elevator up and down, right? Go into the ship, and all of a sudden you're just like in a ship for hours, longer travel, and it's rocky. It's a rough road.
Do you
no
think
way? It's way worse.
Because they won't want people to get up and float around while they're traveling between planets or stations or whatever else. Do you think they'll just have tubes connected to the seat where you can just pee into it?
They probably already have that.
I mean, they kind of do, but I don't know.
Not that I've thought about this, but
I
really don't remember if I posted it. I don't think this was me. However,
I
in my world, there's phases. Phase one is okay. We'll go the Mars route. That it is, you have to be the 1% of the 1%. Then you have to consider how long it takes to get there, and if we're able to invent technology to get us there within a reasonable amount of time and not like 3 or 4 months or 6 months or whatever it takes, then I'm not worried about going to Mars. At that point, I'm like, load me up on the space cruiser and let's tour the galaxy, because at that point it doesn't matter. And I'll take the Passenger movie, put me to sleep and figure that out. So I look at it as, if I'm interstellar traveling, I'm signing up to never come home, because the amount of time it's going to take me to go somewhere, I have to be in some sort of like coma state to be able to travel that long. I would hope that if we create technology to get us somewhere that quickly, then I can survive without aging. Go back to Interstellar. I feel like that was probably the best example that we've known forever in all aspects of that movie. But
yeah,
at that point, I'm signing up to never come home, because if it takes me 10 plus years to go, I'm not going. Even at the speed of light and me traveling that far and that quick and then to come back, everybody else is aged. So I'm not coming back. Mm-hmm. So I don't think space travel will become this, hey, we're just going on a weekend to fucking, some moon. But that's a whole
hang on. Let me pose it a completely different way then. Because I'm on board with you about, if it's long and like, again, like let's use the 10-year full travel window or for whatever time period, right? But during the travel period, you're comatose and you're not aging, right? So let's say it's 10 years there, 10 years back total, with maybe a year or two, being on that planet doing something. Okay. All of the hotties that are currently too young for you now will be your age coming back.
Will they be too old?
No, I mean, I'm just saying, 20-year-olds will be 40.
But I'm not 40 though, so I still age appropriately.
No, however, I'm saying if the only way to do that is if they like literally can do the passenger thing, where you literally are asleep and you are not aging in some way, shape, or fashion.
Yeah, that's why I think you have to take this into a more realistic, instead of saying 10 years, do like a year-long trip.
Yeah.
It's a year-long trip, right? Because I think that narrows it down and it makes the decision a little bit easier.
Yeah, a year there, a year to get there, a year to be there, and a year to come home.
Yeah, just say 2 years to be there, right?
But
Make it a little bit
even if
longer.
in conventional travel time, I'd probably sign up for that. If it was accelerated light speed time, I wouldn't, because everybody's going to age significantly faster than I will. I don't want to do that because I'm going to miss out. It's one thing to miss out on 2 to 5 years, but if I miss out on a decade, even though my timeline is still 2 or 3 years, I wouldn't do that.
Are you saying that because of kids and family, or are you saying
Mhm.
that because of life in general?
Just family, not even kids. I mean, my kids are teenagers, right? So, but if they were just born, that's one thing. But like my grandpa's 82. If I'm gone in my time 3 years and his is 10, I don't think I come back to him. So,
Yeah.
So-
I don't think I would do it.
So then Marty and Doc leave 1988, and they come back. What if they would have never hadn't created the time machine?
No, there's a hasn't in there too, because the past tense of has.
No, has not.
You have to has not. So
That's my boy.
had, have, hasn't, hadn't. I don't know.
I don't
There's
know.
another
Ser-
past tense.
Maybe the best scene in
Yeah.
man, I forgot that. I want to say How I Met Your Mother, and that's not right.
Big Bang Theory.
God.
Big Bang Theory. Yeah. Yeah. Ryan, if you don't know what we're talking about, you have to look up the Doc Brown, Marty McFly, very short clip of
I've seen it.
the Big Bang Theory trying to explain time travel and how there's a problem in it, and then they realize there's not. What are you over there asking ChatGPT if it's space? I knew you were gonna.
What do you think he's typing? This has been a chat GBT like freaking podcast.
Okay. Well, then let's just go with some average random ass topics that not that we haven't already been there. Pizza. Would you rather 2 or 3 big toppings like chicken, pepperoni, or would you rather
Did
them
you say
be ground up?
chicken?
Chicken,
The
pepperoni,
chicken on pizza is
sausage.
really good.
Yeah. So like a
Especially
barbecue
with
chicken
barbecue
pizza.
sauce, barbecue
Yeah.
chicken
No.
pizza.
But that's not the problem. I didn't say something crazy like
That's not the
pineapple or
problem, yeah.
broccoli. Shut up with the
Fair.
broccoli anyway.
Fair.
If you want pineapple and bullets, you've come to the right place. This is Arnold's Pizza.
This is Arnold's Pizza Shop.
Or Jerky Boys. But anyway, would you rather have meats that are like big sections, or do you want huge areolas, or would you rather have smaller areolas that are
Ooh, like baby toes?
like do you want them ground up and thrown all over the pizza? Ryan,
Yeah.
what's your
Oh,
thoughts? Because
okay.
you're the one that posed the question.
I absolutely have an answer to this. If you go get a pizza somewhere, right? I love sausage. If they put that Canadian freaking sausage or like Italian sausage, which comes in chunks of like this and it's like that thick, no fucking thank you, dude. That shit pisses me off. Get me ground any sausage up. I don't care what kind of sausage it is. Just ground it up. I want to have sausage on every bite. Because once you take a bite of that sausage and maybe say you get like half of it or 3/4 of it, it's all coming with you anyways. Right? So then you get one damn bite of sausage or whatever meat you want. And then you're just like, well, the rest of this is cheese. It is the dumbest question ever because there's all those pieces are dumb. Ground up sausage for sure. Ground up chicken, ground up pepperoni.
Yeah, and the
Bacon.
I don't like huge chunks of sausage either. But the sausage that I hate is the one with the fennel seeds in it.
Yeah,
That's fennel is the worst thing ever made. Ever is like the worst seed that somebody was just like, let's jam that into some sausage chunks and throw it.
Oh God,
The one I like.
what is Chad GBT saying?
the question I asked: is it more effective to have large toppings on pizza or small toppings? So it listed out pros and cons for large and small. Okay. And then it gives you an overall. It says overall, whether large or small toppings are more effective on pizza depends on personal preference and the type of toppings being used. Some toppings like pepperoni or sausage may work well in large sizes, while others like mushrooms or onions may work better when chopped into smaller pieces.
Well, obviously. I'm
Yeah,
not going to put a whole onion on one piece of pizza.
Well,
I'm
if
with
you're a
Ryan on this. I
psychopath-
think if you chop them up finer and spread them out so that way every single bite you're always getting that. I agree with that, Ryan. That totally
Absolutely.
makes sense to me.
So
Um,
one of the cons for large toppings, it says that they do not distribute evenly across the pizza, which could
Yeah.
make some bites have more toppings than others. I mean, yes.
Yeah, you have one bite with sausage or pepperoni,
Mhm.
and depending on their displacement of meat, I'm
Yeah.
just talking meat, like screw vegetables. Vegetables are always mostly chopped up, right?
Yeah.
but why is
Then
one
it's
really
just like
chopped
you get
up
one
and the other not?
pepperoni pizza.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Ryan?
Mm.
Why is one always chopped up and the other's not? I mean, yeah,
gotta
why are
be visually
vegetables and everything
appealing.
always chopped up, right? Like to your point, like why has it always just been a thing that to have big meat toppings? You
Yeah, I
can
don't
still
know.
have a ton of meat on it, just chop it up so it's even.
So
Could you
this
imagine
actually
if they-
says
Go ahead.
that there's a component here of the flavor profile in each bite. So larger toppings have a better flavor profile in each bite, whereas smaller
Disagree.
toppings do not present because there's not enough of them. You don't get that flavor.
Bullshit.
Oh, that's like saying, yeah, but then you get bites like with big toppings, you get bites where I literally had pizza tonight. I have pepperoni pizza where like I'm biting like 3 bites where there's just cheese because there's no pepperoni on the current spot that I'm eating the friggin' pepperoni pizza. And yes, I could have got the pepperoni lovers where every square inch was covered with pepperoni, but that's not what we're talking about
The
here.
shakaroni from Papa John's.
So I'm gonna bring this into something that I've done a long time ago. You remember string cheese?
Mhm.
Yes.
So how do you eat string cheese? Some people eat it differently, but how do you guys eat it?
I actually
You just like
I don't
eat
pull
bites of it,
super
like
You string
just
it.
cheese it up.
yeah, I pull strings. I don't pull like itty bitty strings. I pull like decent chunks, but I'm
So
not a
I-
psychopath. I'm not just gonna
Yeah.
bite it off.
Yeah,
Those are
okay.
the same people that bite popsicles, by the way.
So I take this into the same consideration of eating string cheese. And from my taste buds, everybody's taste buds are different. But when you peel like a soft or a small layer of cheese and you just like put that in your mouth, right? It almost melts. You can like taste the flavor in a smaller section than you can just biting the whole chunk of cheese off and just
Mhm.
demolishing it, right? So I feel like if you had a full steak right in front of you, right? And you just like take a bite of it. I feel like thinner cuts of steak also do the same thing. Thinner cuts of steak, like slices. I'm not talking about a thin steak. I'm just talking about a slice of steak.
Yeah.
Give you better quality of flavor and taste. And
Yeah,
I
'cause
think
it-
the same
it-
thing on pizzas.
Yeah, because you can even take a steak that's a little bit overdone, that's a little bit more chewy. If you cut it into smaller bits, you get more flavor, and it's feels more tender, even though it's really not. It's just you're not having to chew through as much.
Yeah, I feel very strongly about this topic, guys.
Well then let's talk about the last thing I want to talk about is something else that Ryan feels very strongly about, and that is his love for Matt Damon and Shaquille O'Neal and Taylor Swift to be in commercials that he watches. I mean, I feel like you've got a lot of angst. You might need to shake it off. I don't know. Can you explain what your beef is?
What grants your
Go
gears?
do something else with the money you already have. Why do you have to go get commercials all over the place? Look at Subway, for example. They're just like hiring anybody that has any type of status in a sport. They have sometimes 5 different famous people or athletes in their commercials. You're really that bored? You don't already spend so much time in your athletics, and some of them are retired, and I get that, but it's just like, go away. You're literally, for the people who like this, I mean, this is a job, right? People do this for a living. You're stealing their jobs. You're literally taking away from other people's living because you're just famous, and like you just basically go ask Subway, hey, I'd like to be in your commercials. Oh, hey, so and so just called us. Yeah, let's put him in our commercials. Screw this other guy. It's like, I feel like they're taking away. I'm tired of seeing professional athletes and famous people in commercials. It's ridiculous.
I mean, but it's not their fault. They're just so. If your job came to you and said, "Hey, I'm going to give you $25,000 more because we didn't hire this person," is that right or wrong? 'Cause
I'm
you're
not.
just-
I'm not in this industry,
No, I'm not
I
talking
don't-
about it. It
I
doesn't
don't
matter. You're
care.
just saying somebody is taking that. They're
I'm just
they're
tired of
taking
seeing famous
advantage of an
people in
opportunity.
commercials.
I mean, I would
Oh.
agree. I mean,
I'm
Uh,
sick of it. Go do
the
something
thing-
else.
the thing that I
Sure.
said all along was if I literally ran a marketing company for big brands, if I ever went and worked for Gary Vee and everything else, I would pitch to them, whether it was the Super Bowl or just normal marketing that you're going to do. Yeah, let's pitch something to Doritos or somebody else. Be like, they come to us for a marketing shtick. Be like, hey, we're going to save you a lot of money because we're going to pull out the old shit from the 80s and just replay that shit because all of those people were kids and now they're adults and it will, trigger nostalgia. You don't have to pay to create the freaking thing. We don't have to go through the shtick of trying to figure out what exactly we're going to say. Literally run the old ad.
You know what I have to say to those people who are getting famous people everywhere? To their team that puts together these commercials and marketing people, you're fucking lazy. You know how many
Yeah.
commercials in the past were like extremely well written,
Mhm.
and you're
That's what I'm saying.
like the content was amazing, right? You're being creative. You're bringing in audiences because you relate to different people. Now they're just saying, "Oh, buy our stuff because Shaquille O'Neal's in here. Buy our stuff because Steph Curry's in here." Like you're
Mhm.
fucking lazy.
Okay. 'Cause I think maybe not Ryan. But them writing some brilliant copy for things or brilliant stories, not stories, music. As a kid, I don't know, maybe Andy, this went for you. The fucking Crossfire game. I always wanted that. Just there was no celebrity into it. It was just like a cool little. You had the two metal balls and you freaking shot them at each
Oh,
other.
yeah.
Like they made it seem like there was this huge stadium and stuff, and like everybody's got to start cheering, and you get it, and like you play it, and it's like plink, and then like after two shots
This
you're
is
done.
stupid.
Like this is dumb, right? But they were brilliantly marketed, not by a celebrity, just by great marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That is
they just
going
want
downhill.
everybody's. Yeah, they just want everybody's fame. They'd be like, "Oh, they're gonna buy." I'm not a person who's gonna buy anything because somebody else is sitting there like saying to buy it, or because Michael
Nope.
Jordan's on a box of weeds. I could give a crap less.
It would be
I'm just
interesting
like-
though to see who would.
Everybody.
How does this? Maybe it is everybody, but how is it beneficial? Do people really? And then they do, right? Like people go to switch up brands just because a famous person is supporting them. But yeah, I think it's ridiculous.
I mean, Andy's just gonna say, yeah, when it comes to his fleshlight, he'll pick anybody that's famous, even though it's all the same.
Doesn't
thing.
matter. Gets the job done. I mean, know?
Jeez. Well,
Yeah, there's my back to the old podcast, back to Ryan's rants.
yes. Yes.
yeah, and I think that's a perfect one to end this one off on. Appreciate everybody joining us. Wait,
Wait.
Andy's got something.
Wait. I want to make an honorable mention because we usually talk about what we watch. And I started watching The Righteous Gemstones. It's might be the best show I've ever seen. If you're a fan of Kenny Powers and Eastbound and Down, he's a preacher. It's fantastic.
What's it called?
Highly recommend. The Righteous Gemstones. It's on HBO Max.
Oh, I just got rid of that.
Amazing. Amazing.
All right, I'll have to check it out. Just.
And then one of the kids from Workaholics is his brother.
Oh yeah. I just saw it. The Bumper, the guy that plays Bumper. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right,
Adam
that's
Devine.
cool.
Amazing. Sorry.
I mean, I've gone back to watching Ted Lasso, but did either of you guys like the Pitch Perfect movies? I mean, I know
I
Ray
love
because Anna
I'm a
Kendrick
huge
was in
fan.
it.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Sign up for. She's not in it, Ryan. Anna Kendrick's not in it. But if you think the guy that played Bumper is funny, and Adam, whatever, I can't think of his name. Adam Devine. Yeah, if you think he's funny, like usually can get a 30-day trial for NBC's Peacock, because everybody loves to stream the cock, and you watch Bumper Goes to Berlin. It's actually pretty decent. It's the only thing that like is worth a shit on NBC's the Cock Network. So yeah, I just feel like you need to say the Cock Network. But is there any one show, Ryan, that you're watching that you would suggest to other people?
So we just finished up Yellowstone, at least not season 5. I know season 5 just came out, but we watched season 4.
Yeah.
I have my ups and downs with that show because I feel like
Yeah.
they just kind of drag on like a couple different, like one big thing happens and it's huge, right? It's catastrophic, and I realize that, but it's just like it just drags
Yeah.
on forever. So I'm interested to see what season 5 has in play. But yeah, right now as well, I'm watching Ted Lasso, and that is just Ted Lasso is great. The stories behind it, the messages behind it, and everybody has their own problems, right? Like we're not all perfect, and it's it's a beautiful show. It really is.
Yep.
I would agree. And with that, let's end it off. Appreciate everybody joining us. Like, subscribe, follow, share with your friends. Get a tattoo of Slightly Average Guys on your butt, and then post a picture on Instagram, Twitter, #y'all mama. We appreciate it, everybody, and we'll see you guys next week.